Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for November 19th, 2025. We do keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com. And for those who shop Amazon, we do have educational videos there under patient weather. Looking at the surface map for Wednesday, a lot of very interesting activity. We do have a cool front, again, trying to push into coastal Northern California, Washington, and Oregon. We have a low pressure center trying to blossom here in the Four Corners. We do have a frontal system stretching all the way from West Texas up toward Dallas and Oklahoma City, and then eastward across all the way to Wilmington, North Carolina. Otherwise, high pressure dominating much of the north, high pressure south of that front. Looking at our vitality index for Wednesday, we can see a lot of unsettled weather in the vitality index here in the Pacific Northwest, especially the coast. A lot of activity here in the northern plains. A very interesting swath of activity down here in West Texas to Oklahoma. A lot of unsettled weather here in the southeast, and we have that lingering low trying to pull away from New England. Pressure change is always one of those issues of interest to people with headache, and that is we see falling pressure here in the coastal areas of the Pacific Northwest, especially coastal Washington, Oregon, and the Canadian city of Vancouver. We have rising pressure here in Montana, rising pressure across the Ohio Valley from Missouri to Ohio, and then still rising pressure behind that retreating low across much of New England, but especially difficult here in northern New Hampshire, Vermont, and into Maine. And of course, all of the Canadian provinces here, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Temperature change, while not significant across much of the area, we do have that little bit of interesting rise in temperature here in the Carolinas, and that'll be associated with that other, the frontal system that is there. Looking at dew point temperatures, a lot more interest in temperature. We see rising dew points here in the southeast, and here is that area again in West Texas and Oklahoma, which is quite significant. And you can see on vapor pressure that flow of increasing vapor all the way up through into Oklahoma City and running from West Texas, and then a lot here in the southeast. Note we have just a touch of increasing humidity here in Florida that shows up a little better on vapor than it does on dew point. Looking now to our change in atmospheric oxygen, which is one of the more important issues that we use, and we can see we do have a risk of asthma and arthritis along those coastal areas of Washington and Oregon. We have a significant risk of arthritis and asthma from Oklahoma up the plains through eastern portions of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Michigan Upper Peninsula. We also have a risk of arthritis and asthma in the southeast from Alabama across Georgia, the Carolinas, touching up into West Virginia. We have a risk of migraine from Southern California, although there is a touch of migraine risk here in Northern California, but the risk in Southern California into Arizona more significant. We also have a risk of migraine across Montana and just touching the westernmost areas of the Dakotas. We do have a significant risk of migraine here in the Ohio Valley from Missouri, northern Arkansas, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, almost all of central and southern Illinois, and a large portion of Indiana. And then finally, we have a significant risk of migraine stretching all the way from northern New York State across northern Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, but picking up those couple of Canadian cities, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec here in the Northeast. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated. And if you hurt, won't you tell us where you're located?